Bounce Mornings with Brock Jackson.
8:39, and I have got a very special guest in studio with me, Anthony Gismondi, host of BC Food and Wine Radio with Anthony Gismondi. Saturday mornings here on Bounce Radio is in town recording some shows. So good morning to you, Anthony.
Thank you, Brock. I had no idea your studio was so spacious.
Oh, I know. The couch over here, the waterfall in the back.
I got to get out of town more often.
Yeah, that's right. Anthony joining me again at BC Food and Wine Radio in our area, recording some shows for upcoming broadcasts here on Bounce Radio. Anthony, you have your finger on the pulse of the BC wine industry, the Okanagan wine industry. You talk to everyone within it. We've heard the stories, but your sort of thoughts on the current situation with BC Okanagan wine.
Yeah, well, I've been waiting to get up here to have a look at the vineyard. So I've drove through Similkameen and have been sort of touring vineyards the last couple of days. I think what's interesting, obviously, there was the big freeze and a lot of issues now with the vines. But I'm a bit fascinated by when you drive by a vineyard. Some people have done nothing; they've just left the vines wild, still unpruned. Others have pruned perfectly. Others have sawn off the trunks, waiting for perhaps something to come up from underneath, which looks very positive in many, many places. So it's kind of interesting to look around and see what the approaches are, because nobody really knows what's going to happen. And I think you were saying the temperatures are going to be up by the end of the week. So once we get a bit of heat, we're going to see what's going on in that vineyard. But so far, I've heard some pretty positive remarks. There's not going to be any fruit this year, but it looks like many will recover next year with secondary vines.
And again, farmers, they are resilient, and it's not the first time they've been through something like this. So as catastrophic as it may look, again, the industry will go on. And I guess certainly looking ahead to this upcoming, we're in the spring right now, but the summer ahead, we really want to remind people that, hey, the wine season is going to be in full steam ahead. Wineries have wine, so get out there and support them. Yeah,
in fact, 2022 was a very large vintage, like a supersized vintage of very good quality. So all of these wineries have a lot of wine, either in barrels going into bottles soon or already bottled for this year, like rosés, white wine. So there's going to be plenty of wine. And also because they've had so much, it happened so soon, they're now able to plan, and they're going to try and stretch these wines over the next couple of years until they can get back to normal. So the best route, obviously, is to stick with your favorite wineries. Make sure you're on the list to perhaps join the wine club. That will give you first access, or just drop by a winery and buy a couple bottles as you need them, that sort of thing.
As you mentioned, joining a wine club, figure out what your favorite wines are and where they're coming from, and get in that wine club, because again, that's the way you're going to be able to guarantee your access, pretty much guarantee access to their wines.
Yeah, the other thing I like to tell people is that, we talk about terroir. Often we get a lot of static, and what's terroir? Why are you talking about all this? Well, this is terroir. If you go around the Okanagan now, you'll see some vines are fine, not many, but some, and others are a disaster. And that's because where they're seated, that's their terroir. So if you had the right kind of drainage, if you were beside a mountain, if you were out of the wind, all of these things affect the quality of the wine, and in a deep freeze, they affect who lives best.
And you mentioned 2022 being a great harvest, a great growing season. So you're tasting some of these wines now. What are you tasting? What's the wine for 2024, the summer of 2024? What are you liking?
Well, one thing that's interesting, the trend globally is white wine. And white wine now is growing at a much faster pace. Actually, red wine consumption is dropping, while white wine consumption is going up, which is that hasn't happened since I started writing about wine about 40 years ago. So I'm excited about that, because people just sort of jumped in. I'm drinking Cabernet, and that was all they ever drank, or I'm drinking Merlot, because there's so much variety in the white wine. So, here we have some Gruner Veltliner, we have Chardonnay, we have Sauvignon, we have Semillon, we have Ortega, and there's going to be a lot more interest in these hybrids. A lot of the grapes that are growing on Vancouver Island and further up in the Shuswap, that have more survivability are going to get a second look. So that's where the farmers come in. People are farmers. They're not stupid. They look and see what's going on, and they you can't shift overnight, but you can shift.
Well, interesting conversation with Anthony Gismondi of BC Food and Wine Radio. Again, that show coming up on Saturday, 9 o'clock here on Bounce Radio. And you're recording today. You're going to be at Watermark Beach Resort recording and interviewing some people from the industry. So if people want to drop by and check things out, they're more than welcome to.
Yeah, we're going to be on the patio. Come by. We start at 10. We'll probably be there till about 1 o'clock.
All right. Just ask for Stu Ferguson, and he'll buy you a bottle or two of wine, right? So
well, I don't know about the buying part, but he'll shake your hand.
There you go. All right. Anthony Gismondi from BC Food and Wine Radio. Again, thank you for your time. Have a great show today over at Watermark, and I look forward to talking to you again down the road.